All right, ready to dive deep.
Always.
Today, it's the world of digital trade and cross-border payments.
Ooh, interesting.
We've got a new law in the UK, ditching paper trade documents.
Completely paperless.
And Singapore's cooking up a new type of digital asset. Plus, we'll hear what MasterCard has to say. They think blockchain in payments is still untapped.
That is surprising. They're a big player in the current system.
So if you're prepping a presentation, staying ahead of the curve, or just curious about global money in the digital age,
This is the place to be.
for sure, this shift is massive.
It really is. It's not just buying stuff online anymore. It's about how global trade systems are being totally rewired.
Like, we order pizza on our phones,
Super easy.
but global trade is still drowning in paperwork.
Mountains of it.
But this new law in the UK, the Electronic Trade Documents Act, feels like a big change.
Huge. Electronic trade documents are legally equal to paper ones now.
That's got to be huge for businesses.
Yeah.
Think of the time and money saved.
No kidding. No more lost bills of lading or frantic calls about certificates of origin.
What I found interesting is the act doesn't mandate a specific technology.
It doesn't.
It's technology neutral.
So blockchain could be involved.
It could, but only if it meets the standards.
Makes sense. It's like setting standards for a building but not saying what materials to use.
Exactly. Blockchain could be a key building block,
Potentially.
but it has to prove itself.
Definitely.
Which brings us to blockchain itself.
Ah, yes, blockchain.
Everyone's talking about it.
It's the buzzword.
But does anyone really understand it?
Right.
Blockchain's had quite a journey, hasn't it?
It has. Hype, cryptocurrencies, then reality hit. Not a magic fix for everything.
Before we get to MasterCard's take,
Sure.
can we do a blockchain 101
Absolutely.
for the listeners?
Okay. Imagine a digital ledger.
Like a spreadsheet,
Right. But instead of one central computer, it's on a network.
decentralized.
Yes. And super secure.
No single point of failure.
Right. Every transaction is in this ledger. Transparent and unchangeable.
So it's tamper-proof record keeping. Makes sense for trade documents.
For sure. But here's where it gets interesting. MasterCard, they're saying blockchain's payment potential is still largely untapped.
I'm surprised to hear that. What's holding them back?
Regulation. They believe clear guidelines are essential for mainstream adoption in payments.
Makes sense. Building trust and stability for everyone.
Right, like a highway with no traffic laws, fast, constant.
Exactly.
Exactly. And MasterCard's not just talking.
Oh,
They're developing a multi-token network. They call it a digital asset app store.
what?
Basically, a platform to manage different digital assets.
Wow. That could be huge for the future of money and payments.
It could.
So we've got the UK going paperless, MasterCard being cautious but active, and this digital asset app store. Trade and payments are in flux.
It's an exciting time.
Are there companies actually using blockchain for cross-border payments right now?
Oh, absolutely. Despite the challenges, it's streamlining transactions already.
Really?
37% of businesses are using it. Another 13% are ready to join.
That's a lot. Why are they adopting it? What benefits are they seeing?
Speed, cost reduction, and security. The big three.
Makes sense.
Blockchain transactions are much faster.
How so?
They cut out the middlemen, the intermediaries that traditional systems need. Processing times go from days to minutes.
Wow. And fewer intermediaries mean lower fees.
Exactly. Great for businesses, especially smaller ones.
Levels the playing field. What about security?
Blockchain is immutable. Once a transaction is recorded, it's practically impossible to change.
Super secure.
Minimizes fraud risk.
It does sound like a win-win-win. Any real-world examples of this?
Plenty. The Bank of China, Hong Kong, has a platform called mBridge for digital trade using blockchain.
That sounds futuristic.
It's happening now. Faster, cheaper, more transparent transactions.
Amazing. Any others?
DBS Bank in Hong Kong, using blockchain for faster insurance payouts across the Greater Bay Area.
Lots of trade and travel there. Streamlining must make a big difference.
It does.
It's incredible how blockchain is already changing things globally. We've talked about the UK and Hong Kong. Any other countries pushing boundaries?
Let's look at Singapore. The Monetary Authority of Singapore has Project Guardian.
Okay. What's that?
They're exploring a whole new class of digital assets for trade finance.
A new kind of digital asset. What's the idea?
It's tackling a big problem. Liquidity issues in trade finance.
I see. Explain that.
Trade finance is crucial for global trade.
Right.
But it's bogged down by paperwork, slow processes, and lack of transparency.
So Businesses struggle to get financing for imports and exports,
Exactly. Liquidity bottlenecks.
and they're trying to solve this with new digital assets.
Yes. These assets would represent real-world trade assets, but digitally, like invoices, bills of lading.
I get it. So those physical documents that cause bottlenecks become something that can move quickly in the digital world.
That's the goal.
What kind of impact could that have?
Huge potential. Smoother transactions, faster financing, reduced costs,
Where are the indications?
a more robust global trade ecosystem.
Sounds promising. But what will these new assets actually look like? What are the implications?
Great questions. We don't have all the answers yet. Project Guardian is still early stage.
It's a bit of a mystery box then,
It is.
but a very interesting one.
Definitely. Welcome back to our deep dive.
Into the crazy world of digital trade and cross-border payments,
We've seen paperless trade. We've seen digital assets.
it feels like everything's changing.
It is, that's for sure.
But with all this innovation, are there risks we need to think about?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like we're building this faster, more interconnected financial system,
Right.
but are we making it secure?
Cybersecurity is a huge concern as we move more online.
It's like building a high-tech fortress,
Yeah,
but forgetting to lock the doors.
exactly. We're talking data breaches, ransomware attacks,
Crippling entire companies.
and in finance and trade, the stakes are even higher.
Oh, for sure.
Hackers could manipulate markets.
Disrupt global supply chains.
The consequences could be devastating.
That's scary.
It is a constant race against cybercriminals.
So how do we stay ahead? How do businesses and governments stay ahead of the curve?
Robust cybersecurity, for one.
Strong encryption, multi-factor authentication, regular audits.
All essential.
But it's not just the tech.
No.
It's the people.
Two, advocates.
Employee training.
So important.
Building a culture of security.
Don't just build a strong wall.
Make sure everyone knows how to guard it.
Right.
But what other downsides are there to this digital transformation?
Well, data privacy is a big one.
With all this information moving across borders,
How do we protect it?
especially when countries have different rules.
It's like trying to create universal rules.
For a world with different languages and customs.
Exactly. The EU's GDPR sets a high standard.
But applying those globally, that's tough.
Data moves through multiple places, each with its own laws.
So we need international cooperation.
We do, to harmonize those regulations.
Create a predictable environment.
For sure.
It's finding that balance, isn't it?
It is.
Protecting data, but still allowing information to flow.
It's tough.
What other potential drawbacks are there?
There's the risk of widening the gap between the haves and have-nots.
If the benefits aren't shared equally,
Exactly.
it could make existing inequalities worse.
Between countries, even individuals.
It's like building a high-speed rail system only some can afford.
That's a good analogy.
How do we prevent that?
We need to build digital infrastructure everywhere.
Internet access,
Education,
training programs,
especially in developing countries.
and we need policies that help small and medium-sized enterprises.
They're often left behind.
They are.
It's not just about the technology.
It's about making sure everyone benefits.
Exactly.
Speaking of benefits, what about jobs?
Right.
Automation, it's a double-edged sword,
It is.
increases efficiency, but could displace workers.
How will digital trade affect that?
Good question.
We'll likely see job displacement in some sectors.
The ones that can be automated,
But new technologies also create new jobs.
like e-commerce.
Exactly. Web development, digital marketing, logistics.
So it's different jobs, not fewer jobs.
And we need to prepare people for those jobs.
New skills for a new economy.
Investing in education and training.
Being proactive, not reactive.
Learn to surf the wave, don't let it crash over you.
Exactly.
That's a great way to put it.
But amidst all this, what about the environment?
Ah, yes. Sustainability.
All those data centers must use a lot of energy.
They do, but there's a move towards sustainable data centers.
Companies are using renewable energy,
Energy-efficient hardware and software.
new cooling technologies,
All to reduce their carbon footprint
so a more efficient digital world.
and a more sustainable one.
But it feels like there's a paradox here.
What's that?
We're more interconnected through digital trade,
Right.
but the global regulatory landscape is more fragmented.
Different rules everywhere.
How do we reconcile those two things?
It's a challenge.
But not impossible.
No. We can focus on international standards and agreements.
A common framework.
Think interoperability for different blockchain platforms.
Harmonized data privacy rules. Finding common ground in a diverse digital world.
Building bridges across the digital divide
But those bridges need a foundation.
of trust
Addressing cybersecurity, data privacy, fairness
and collaboration.
between governments, businesses, everyone.
A global conversation.
about the future of digital trade.
A conversation that includes everyone.
Before we go there, let's talk about something else that's big right now.
What's that?
Central bank digital currencies.
CBDCs.
Everyone's talking about them.
They are getting a lot of attention.
How do they fit into cross-border payments?
They have the potential to change everything.
Really?
They could disrupt how we think about money, especially across borders.
I'm hearing about them everywhere, but what are they really?
Imagine a digital version of your country's currency.
Like a digital dollar,
Or a digital euro.
but issued by the central bank,
Directly.
not a commercial bank,
It's like digital cash.
cutting out the middleman.
In a way, yes.
What are the advantages for cross-border payments?
Well, they could make things faster and cheaper by bypassing all those intermediaries.
The ones that slow things down and add fees?
Exactly. A game changer for businesses and individuals.
Especially for people sending remittances.
They often face the highest fees.
What else makes CBDCs so appealing?
They could improve financial inclusion
Give access to financial
to
services,
people who are unbanked,
especially in developing countries.
where traditional banking is limited,
It's about empowering people.
giving them access to the global economy.
It does sound like CBDCs could level the playing field.
They have that potential.
But are there risks?
Of course.
Every new technology has downsides.
One concern is financial stability.
How so?
If people move their money from commercial banks to central banks,
Because of CBDCs?
that could disrupt the system.
Affect lending?
It's a delicate balance.
What else?
Privacy.
Yes.
Some CBDC designs focus on privacy.
But others?
They could give central banks a lot of visibility.
Into our transactions.
Exactly.
That raises questions about surveillance.
And misuse of data.
Important questions.
Definitely.
Technology is a tool.
It can be used for good or bad.
It all depends how we use it.
Wisely, hopefully.
But haven't some countries started using CBDCs already?
Lots of countries are experimenting,
Trying different things.
but no major economy has fully launched one.
Not yet.
It's still early.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
It will.
It feels like a big change is coming
It does.
in how we think about money.
And payments.
Exciting and a little daunting.
I agree.
We need to think about the benefits and the risks.
Absolutely.
The future of cross-border payments is being written right now.
And we're all part of it.
Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive.
The grand finale.
Digital trade and cross-border payments, we're still exploring.
We've covered a lot, but we saved the most futuristic stuff for last.
Exactly. Time to think about the future.
Put on our futurist hats.
Imagine what global commerce might look like in the years to come.
Okay, I'm imagining.
Let's start with programmable money. One of the most mind-blowing things blockchain makes possible.
Programmable money. Sounds like science fiction.
It does, right? What is it exactly?
Well, imagine embedding conditions or rules directly into digital money.
Give me an example.
A payment that only goes through when certain things happen, like delivery of goods or a service being completed.
So a built-in smart contracts for every transaction.
Exactly.
That changes everything. Streamlined supply chains, fewer disputes, more trust.
It goes even further.
How so?
Imagine micropayments triggered by real-world events. A car passing a toll, a device using electricity.
A whole new universe of automated transactions, microtransactions, even microloans.
Empowering individuals and businesses in new ways.
Amazing. But it's not just automation, right?
No. Programmable money could create entirely new financial instruments.
Like what?
Digital bonds that automatically pay interest or currencies pegged to real-world assets.
The whole financial system. Rewired. More efficient, transparent, responsive. It's incredible.
It really is.
And speaking of efficiency, what about decentralized finance? DeFi.
DeFi. It's everywhere these days.
I know it's related to crypto, but how does it connect to trade and cross-border payments?
Think of it as building financial services directly on blockchain.
Such as?
Lending, borrowing, trading, insurance, all without traditional intermediaries like banks.
Cutting out the middleman again, but bigger this time.
Much bigger. It could mean faster, cheaper, and more accessible cross-border transactions.
So sending money across borders as easy as email. No fees, no delays.
That's the vision, a more open financial system.
It sounds very empowering.
It is, and because DeFi is usually open source and transparent, it could encourage innovation and competition.
Positive disruption.
Yeah.
But if we're decentralizing, cutting out the middleman, what happens to traditional financial institutions?
Some people think they'll disappear completely.
Because of blockchain and DeFi?
Yes. I think it's more likely they'll adapt.
Reinvent themselves.
Exactly. Banks are good at innovating. and they understand regulations.
So they can build bridges between the old system and the new one.
A hybrid approach.
What about governments? How do they fit into all of this?
They'll face challenges for sure, regulating new technology, protecting consumers, ensuring stability.
Lead challenge.
But it's also a huge opportunity. They can shape the future of digital trade and finance.
Find the balance between innovation and risk.
Exactly. Make sure these technologies benefit everyone, create a more inclusive and sustainable global economy.
That's a good goal. Digital trade and cross-border payments are still pretty new.
They are. We're just starting to see what's possible.
It's like exploring uncharted territory.
Exactly. There will be challenges, but also excitement and lots of potential.
So listeners, as you explore the world of digital trade and cross-border payments,
Stay curious
stay informed.
and stay engaged.
The future of global commerce is being written now. We all have a part to play. That's a great point to end on. We've covered so much in this deep dive.
Blockchain, programmable money, decentralized finance, the challenges, the opportunities, the potential to change the world.
We hope you're feeling inspired, informed, and maybe a little overwhelmed. But most importantly, we hope you're curious to learn more.
Keep diving, keep learning, keep asking questions.
The future awaits.
Until next time, wake up.